is English Podcast 365. Speak better, understand faster. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the English Podcast 365. I'm Mia, and if you're tuning in, you're probably either learning English yourself or helping someone on their language journey. Either way, I'm genuinely so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into 5 common habits that might be slowing down your English progress. Maybe you've picked up 1 or 2 of these without even realizing it. The good news is, once you're aware of them, you can ditch them and really accelerate your learning. Your English will seriously thank you for it. So, grab a notebook or just kick back and listen closely, because we're about to supercharge your English learning routine. Let's get started. Let's kick things off with one of the most common pitfalls: trying to learn words from a list without any context. Many learners sit down and attempt to memorize vocabulary from a huge list. You know the drill. It looks something like this: apple, table, responsibility. You might repeat the words over and over, maybe even test yourself the next day, but honestly, just memorizing words in isolation won't help you use them naturally in a conversation. Why not? Because language thrives on context. When your brain learns a word within a sentence or a real-life situation, it understands how and when to use it. That's what truly makes a word stick. For example, instead of just memorizing responsibility, try learning it in a sentence like, "Taking care of my younger brother is a big responsibility." Now, you see the word in action. You understand that responsibility often involves caring for someone or something important. So, what's the better habit here? It's all about learning words in context. Think about it. Whether you're watching a TV show, listening to a podcast, or even just looking at example sentences in a dictionary, really pay attention to how those words are used naturally. Then try using them in your own sentences. And here's a bonus tip for you. Grab a notebook, but make sure you're only writing down full example sentences, not just single words. This trick really trains your brain. Habit 2, being afraid to make mistakes. Habit number 2 is a big one: being afraid to make mistakes. I totally get it. You want to sound perfect, and you definitely don't want to embarrass yourself. But let me be straight with you. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably not learning very much. Think about how kids learn their first language. Do they speak perfectly right away? Not at all. But they try, they get corrected, and that's how they get better. You should approach your English learning journey the exact same way. I've met so many learners who say things like, "I'll speak more when my grammar is perfect. I don't want to say anything wrong." But guess what? If you wait for perfection, you'll be waiting forever. So, what's a more effective strategy? The best thing you can do is start using English right now, even if it feels a bit rough around the edges. Talk with your friends, jump into online English groups, or try writing short posts in English. The key is to welcome those mistakes and learn from them as you go. Here's a neat trick to help you out. Whenever you notice you've made a mistake, jot it down. Then, right beside it, write out the correct version. This simple habit transforms your errors into valuable lessons, rather than something to feel embarrassed about. Next up, translating every single word and sentence from your native language into English. So, let's say you're Vietnamese, Spanish, Arabic, or Japanese. When you want to say something in English, you first think in your own language, then translate it. On the surface, that seems logical, right? But here's the issue. Languages don't work in identical ways. Word order, common expressions, even the underlying logic behind how sentences are constructed, it's all different. For instance, a Vietnamese speaker might naturally say, "I very like coffee," because that structure makes perfect sense in Vietnamese. But in English, we'd say, "I really like coffee." Or in some languages, you might say something like, "I'm going to home." But in English, we don't say "to home." We just say, "I'm going home." These might seem like minor details, but they add up and can make your English sound unnatural. So, it's about gradually training your brain to think directly in English. This might sound tricky, but it's totally doable. Here's a simple way to start. When you're by yourself, try describing what you're doing out loud in English. "I'm brushing my teeth." "I'm making tea." "I need to leave in 5 minutes." Don't worry if it's simple. The goal here is to build automatic thoughts in English, not to write poetry. Over time, you'll stop relying on translation and start thinking in English more effortlessly. Okay, now this one might be a little controversial, only focusing on grammar rules. Look, grammar is important. I'm absolutely not saying you should ignore it. But if you spend all your time studying tenses, conditionals, and the passive voice without actually using them in real communication, then what's the real benefit? I've had students who could explain grammar concepts better than some native speakers. But when did it come time to actually talk? They'd freeze up. Why? Because they hadn't practiced using English in real conversations. Think about it. You didn't learn your first language by poring over grammar books. You learned by listening, speaking, and using the language in everyday life. Try to balance your grammar study with plenty of listening, reading, speaking, and writing. See grammar as a tool to help you communicate, not the ultimate goal itself. Here's a method I highly recommend. When you learn a new grammar rule, immediately create 3 or 4 real-life sentences using it. For example, after learning the present perfect, try, "I've never been to Japan." "She has just finished her homework." "We've lived here since 2015. Say them out loud, write them down, make that grammar practical. And now, for our final bad habit, studying English without actually speaking it. So many learners read grammar books, watch videos, do exercises, but when it's time to have a conversation, they struggle to put a sentence together. Why? Because speaking is a skill, just like swimming or riding a bike. You simply can't learn it by reading about it. You have to do it. You need to open your mouth and speak out loud, not just in your head, not silently while you're watching a video. Just create speaking opportunities, even if you're by yourself. Try this. Shadowing. Listen to a short audio clip in English and repeat it out loud, trying your best to match the rhythm and pronunciation. Record yourself speaking for just 1 minute a day on a random topic, your weekend, your favorite movie, your opinion on something. Use voice messages in English with a friend or a language partner. Join online language exchanges or conversation clubs. You'll be amazed at how much more confident you become when speaking becomes a regular part of your daily routine. All right, let's quickly review the 5 bad habits we talked about today. Stop learning words from isolated lists. Instead, learn them in context. Stop being afraid to make mistakes. Remember, mistakes are how you grow. Stop translating everything. Start training yourself to think in English. Stop only focusing on grammar. Balance it with lots of real-world usage. And finally, stop studying without speaking. Make speaking a daily habit. Learning English takes time, patience, and most importantly, smart habits. If you felt stuck or like your progress has been slow, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are you doing any of these 5 things? If so, that's completely okay. We all pick up bad habits. The crucial part is recognizing them and then actively working to replace them with better ones. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep moving forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Maybe tell me which habit you're going to drop first. Or if you've overcome other bad habits in your English learning, I'd absolutely love to hear your story. Also, please share this episode with a friend who's learning English. Let's grow together. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep learning. Bye for now.